to say it out loud. Wow. And of course, the third Tuesday is back by popular demand. And so we welcomed back Michelle Bennett from OLLI to join us and tell us what's going on with her classes and programming for the winter. We know that just as Westminster Village has been kind of affected by the spike in numbers of COVID cases in the area, we've had to do our own backpedaling and close some things up here. I think that it's impacted you and your programs as well, Michelle. So we wanted to connect with you this morning and just give everybody a chance to find out what's up and yeah, what's been going on and what's not going on.
Yeah, kind of like you, we've had to tweak a couple of things because of the rising cases. So we've been trying to kind of struggle through the fall and allow a little bit of in-person for anybody who wants to do it that way or who can't do Zoom. We do have a couple of people that don't have internet or, really just don't have the capabilities of doing the Zoom. So that was my big push for doing in-person stuff this fall. With the rising cases, university is basically kind of clamped down and we can't do any of that. So we did have to cancel some stuff planned for December and kind of close off some stuff currently had going on. So we basically we're hoping to do a functional movement. That's been kind of a big thing for us this fall, is trying to keep everybody moving. So we've done physical therapy. Miss Sherry Daly took that class. We've done a couple of Wednesday presentations talking about, getting up and moving and things that you can do in order to kind of stay flexible and help with balance. And I think that's probably a really big thing, especially going into winter, because now we can't get outside. So we'll kind of probably keep pushing some of that stuff. But we've had to cancel anything that was in person. So water aerobics, we've had to kind of cancel that out. We're hoping to be able to start that maybe in January, if not maybe February, to get people back on campus to do that. In the meantime, since we can't do anything in person, we're still doing some Zoom programs. So actually this afternoon, we have, what we've been doing is virtual tours. So we have partnered with the Terre Haute Symphony to do virtual tours, and they're literally taking us, we're averaging about every other week, and they're focusing on one instrument and one musician. So today is the violin. So basically the head violinist for the Terre Haute Symphony is going to walk us through his, I think it's a guy.
Yes, it is.
It is, okay. He's going to walk us through his instrument, kind of give us the history. He's going to basically explain everything. The big question that seems to be asked during all of the sessions that we've done is, how much is your instrument? Do you have to trade them out very often? It's just kind of some basic questions that you always wonder, but now you kind of get that opportunity to ask. So that's our virtual tour for this afternoon, is the violin. Tomorrow we are finishing our Alzheimer's series. Every month this fall we had someone from the Alzheimer's Foundation doing a program specifically on Alzheimer's, and tomorrow is dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia. So it was, what you can do to prevent it, warning signs that you've got it, and now we've kind of moved into how do you deal with it. So that's our Wednesday presentation tomorrow. And then Thursday, it's going to be the first time that we've tried to do something social. So we're going to do a OLLI Happy Holiday Hour. It's actually 2 hours, but we'll see how that works. And it's kind of geared towards holiday traditions. So I'm going to see if I can figure out how to control so everybody's not talking over each other, but just kind of make it more of a social thing instead of a class. So those are some of the things that we've got coming up. During December, I'm doing a Sherry, Tom Sauer, you'll appreciate this. I said, have you actually even looked at the December catalog? And he said, no, I haven't looked at it yet, because we were in steering committee yesterday. And I said, I was so very impressed with the title that I came up with from my class, because it's What's the Dickens is Up with the Christmas. And he laughed. He thought that was very, very good. So I'm doing a class on A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So we're going to look at the history, the actual story, and then the interpretations of it. We have another holiday hour in December. We have another virtual tour with the symphony coming up in December, percussion. And then actually we're at the History Center for, what are we doing? I think we're doing county history next week. And then the week after that, we're at the SWOPE for the juried exhibit. So we've got a whole program still coming. Sherry, you got a question?
Actually, I want you to tell everybody why you are doing the Scrooge program. I think everybody would enjoy that.
My husband and my daughter swear that I am the epitome of Scrooge. I'm somewhere in between Scrooge and the Grinch. So they find the fact that I am doing this class to be very humorous because they don't think that I appreciate Christmas. I, however, don't necessarily dislike Christmas. I just am the person who always gets stuck with all the stuff, you know, making everything and buying all the gifts and wrapping all the gifts. Christmas is great when you have no responsibility. Otherwise, how many of you ladies are shaking your head? Doesn't Christmas get a little stressful? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. See, I'm not the only one. Any questions, comments? Anything sound good? I know Sherry's been to multiple programs. Tammy, I think you've been to multiple programs. Anything that you've enjoyed?
The biggest problem that I have is keeping up. I mean, I just described my desk as a waste paper basket, but it's just difficult to keep up with everything that's going on. I think there must be something called Zoom brain. You just get so, I don't know what it is, but you just get so foggy. People talk about the pandemic causing brain fog. I think Zoom, even more than the pandemic is. And so there's got to be, I don't know how you can help us, Michelle, but for example, I just noticed when you mentioned the happy hour on Thursday, I thought I signed up for that and I don't have it on my calendar. I don't know how you can help us get organized, but somehow, I don't know, somehow we need help. I did this to Rebecca a couple of weeks ago. I emailed her about the coffee talks and I said, please let us know who's speaking. Well, all I had to do was look down further in her email and there was the information. I don't know. Maybe I should be paying more attention to the Alzheimer's programs that you have. I have attended a couple, but it's just difficult to keep up. I don't know how that can be. Somebody once told me that when you're busy, you're more likely to be able to keep up with things than when you're not busy. And so maybe that's it. But something is wrong. And I'd like to join you for happy hour. I'm disappointed that you're probably just going to be serving virtual drinks, but that's okay. I guess we have to cope.
You are signed up. Yeah, you are signed up for happy hour, Sherry.
Okay. Well, what time is it?
2.
Okay, thank you.
I'll send you a reminder. Actually, I'll do that right here in just a second. When we get done with our presentation thing, I'll send another thing out for that. Because this week, I know that you're probably doing the symphony this afternoon.
I am.
Been doing most of the Alzheimer's, so you probably got an email for that one. And then you also probably got an email for the happy holiday hour. So yeah, keeping track of the multiple links. Yeah.
I think there's a way that when you accept it, it should automatically go on your calendar on your computer.
You have to have your system connected. A lot of people
that could be really helpful if you connected the two, just so they automatically show up on your calendar and you don't have to remember them. That's what I do.
Yes.
I handle it too. Yeah. Everything that comes in on Zoom automatically goes as an appointment on my calendar, but you have to connect Zoom to your calendar, and you have
That
to have
might be a,
do it.
And how do you do that?
well, I was gonna tell Sherry, maybe she should ask Mike or Kyle, one of our IT guys, to come out and help her with that.
Ah, okay. And I would be asking them how to connect Zoom to my calendar.
Basically,
Yes.
your
I'm sorry, basically what?
Your
email, that's where you're going to get all those appointments for Zoom. It's coming.
Okay.
Email.
Okay, connect.
And Eileen, that is, it's actually a setting in Zoom. So if you have officially a Zoom account, if you don't, okay, if you've got a Zoom account and aren't just clicking on the links, but you actually, you know, have installed Zoom and created an account, then it's in the settings.
Okay.
You want to give me a phone call at some point in time, I'll kind of try and help walk you through it.
Okay. And
If
then
you,
what about signing up for all of these events? I haven't done any of that.
just give me a call. I'll get you taken care of.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Kate, I feel like I've hijacked your coffee talk. So what else?
I agree with you, Sherry. I mean, especially when you belong to like multiple organizations, I'm sure you're getting just bombarded with emails now and reminders for things, and you know, sign up for this and sign up for that, and it is a lot to kind of pull together. And if it's not going automatically to your calendar, I think I'd miss anything that's not on my calendar. I would totally miss it. So yeah, it's a lot, you know, and I think because it's so simple to do, is, you know, for us and for Michelle to set up those Zoom things, and you know, we're probably cranking out more of them than maybe, you know, perhaps we even need to. We ended up paring our virtual things down to just our regular coffee talk, because we were doing them every day. You know, we had something different every day, and that was a lot. That just became just too much, and people can get overwhelmed and zoomed out. So yeah, we've decided to focus on the one and do it really well. But yeah, it's tough. I'm curious, Michelle, when you were doing some things in person, what was that, and what did that look like? Because I mean, you know, surely we'll get back to that very soon, as soon as things get under control here in our area. But how did you bring people together, and where, and
Okay. Well, what we basically did, there was only one thing that was required in person, and that was water aerobics, because I can't take pool to everybody's house. So that was the only solely in-person thing that I was doing. Everything else was kind of a hybrid. So we were still doing Wednesday presentations. We continued Wednesday presentations throughout the fall. But what we did with that is, sometimes we had presenters that were here in town and were more than happy to come to me to set all the technology stuff up. So we went to a building on the very far side of campus that no one really uses. We were allowed to have 6 people in person, and then me and the speaker. And so it was literally, I set all the technology up so that speaker would come in, basically present to the people in the room, but also to Zoom all at the same time. And it worked relatively well. I mean, it is a little bit more difficult. If you're trying to have a conversation, it becomes really difficult to do Zoom online and have people in person. I have a hard time with that. If you're presenting and you're not really having a back and forth, it's not so bad. But we've done things like that. We've done classes exactly the same way, is that if we had someone who was here in town who was teaching the class, then that person would actually teach the class from that room, and have people in person in that room, but then also have people at a distance on Zoom. So that's kind of how we've hybrided some of that. If I only had one person who wanted to do it in person, then what I've been doing is, and especially if it's something that I'm teaching, then I'll have her come to my building, and I put her in a conference room, and I give her her own laptop, and I set everything up for her so that she can be part of class the same as everybody else on Zoom, but that the technology part's taken care of for her. So we've kind of, modified what we do based on who wants to do what and what they're comfortable with. So that's kind of how we fixed pieces of that. We've been really amazed at how well the virtual tours have gone over. So even once we can do everything in person, we might actually continue those because we've had some really good response from people attending those, especially the symphony things. It's been because, a lot of those musicians don't live in town, so we could never have done something like that all in person. By being able to do it through Zoom and at a distance, then, you've got a lot more speakers that are able to, come in and do stuff.
Michelle, would you talk a little bit more about why it's hard to do the hybrid, that is both the Zoom and the in-person?
Sure.
Yeah, a little bit more, because I did one of the in-person, I did one of the combinations.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting to me to think about how after all of this mess is over, and my brother calls the pandemic this mess, we may discover that we really like Zoom. We can go to have a meeting with people who go to Florida for the winter, or we don't have to get dressed, whatever. So what's the problem with the hybrid?
The hybrid is just, and like I said, you can do a Wednesday presentation. You can even do a class depending on how you're teaching the class. Relatively easy on Zoom and in person. If you're trying to, a lot of times when I'm teaching a class, I really want that constant communication. I'm constantly asking you questions. I want there to be a back and forth conversation all the time in my class. That's when it becomes a little bit more difficult because the people who are in that room with me physically aren't being picked up by the speaker that's directed at me as the presenter. So you really get kind of a disconnect. It's almost like you're trying to have a conversation with this group and then have a completely and totally different conversation with this other group. And the two groups don't seem to blend as well. I'm not really sure how to explain that. Like I said, if you're doing it more as like a presenter and you're not looking for a whole bunch of back and forth, that's easy. The best thing that I have found about Zoom so far and doing all of this online is that basically OLLI has been able to record everything that we have done the entire fall. So if, like Eileen, she's, oh, I forgot to sign up for, the symphony. I really wanted to see, what did we do last week? What did we do last week, Sherry? Oh, the cello. I really wanted to see the cello. All she has to do is say, hey, Michelle, I missed the cello. And I send her a link and she gets to watch the entire thing. So that's probably been the best thing about Zoom, as far as I'm concerned, is the ability to, if you've missed something, if you, and in the past, if everything was in person, if you missed, the second class to, whatever that, the second session to a class, you just missed out. I can't record. Now you can say, oh, I can't make the second session, but I can still take the class because I can attend the first one. I can watch the second one and then be there for the third. So it's making it, I think, a lot more flexible for people. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it really does.
That flexibility is really good, but you almost have to set up a Zoom library and have someone in charge of it. And you have a list of books, but not books, but Zooms that are available. And then you can just tap into that. It's just incredible what can happen as a result of this mess we have.
Yeah, and actually I do. I have a Zoom library. Well, I pull everything out of Zoom and then I edit it in software that uses, it's called Usia. So then I upload everything into Usia and I edit it because I usually start recording about 20 minutes before the class actually starts. So instead of hearing me chit chat or do something, that all gets cut out. So I edit those videos down and then I have them in folders out on Usia. So I have, if it's a class, then all the sessions for that class are in that folder. All the Wednesday presentations are just in a Wednesday presentation folder. All the symphony tours are just in my symphony folder. So it's relatively quick and easy. The biggest thing I have is, kind of like the symphony. I'm limiting it to just members that can access that. So, how to password protect it. So far, I sent it out as an email to all of our members last week. Yeah, somewhere around in there, with all the links for everything that we've done for September and October. So if you go back and look in your email for something that came from me, then you're going to get every single link for every virtual tour, every class, everything. But if there's something specific that you want, all you have to do is just email me and I'll just send you the link. So it makes it a little bit more, hands-on to do it that way. But right now it's working. We don't have a ton of people requesting. So it works relatively easy that way. So just let me know what you want, Eileen, and I can fix you up.
Wow.
So you're able to you keep it all on that Usia kind of application, and then you can give your members access to it via there that way.
Actually, the Usia system creates an online link so that once you click on that link, it literally just opens up like the video. It's not playing on your computer, it's playing on the web. So of course you have to have internet access, but you click on that link and then it instantly pulls up the video, and you just hit the play button and you watch what you want to watch, and it's not downloaded. It's just out there. It's kind of like watching a YouTube video.
Yeah. Interesting. So I'm thinking, Michelle, like about our first conversation, back in the beginning of all of this, and how sometimes it's hard to even think about what we did back then because just so much has transpired. But I mean, the beginning of the pandemic versus now, like as you look back, what are your feelings, and did you imagine that you'd be where you are today?
Oh, no. In all honesty, it was one of those things, and it's been one of these continual things that we've kind of joked about is, think about, I was in Indianapolis at a doctor's appointment with my dad when basically the campus said, we're shutting down. And so as anybody that's one of my OLLI members would know, I kind of went into a full-on panic of, oh, I'm not even in my office. How do I fix this? So, and then even then I thought 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
All say that exact same thing to ourselves. 2 weeks. I can go home for 2 weeks. That's no big deal. And then that 2 weeks turned into a month. And then that month turned into a month and a half. I was probably one of the very first people to come back onto campus. So I came back in April, end of April. And as soon as I was able to get back on campus and have really good internet, because my internet at home, I live out in the middle of nowhere, isn't fantastic. I started trying to figure out how to transition. I'd seen a whole bunch of the other OLLI institutes in the country, basically, get shut down the same as we did, but they made that flip to Zoom a lot faster than we did because they had the better technology or better access. So we did our first Zoom class. I taught the very first Zoom class, and that was in June. Yeah. So all of May was basically me trying to figure out what we're doing and how we're doing it. And then training, that's probably been one of the big things. I never honestly thought that I would have to do one-on-one trainings on technology, but yeah, that has been a learning experience all on its own. And, I now have some funny stories to share. So, trust me, if you think that you have a problem with technology, I can almost guarantee you, I can tell you a story about someone who is worse than you are, Sherry. So trust me, you're good. I've helped you with the print.
Yes, I'm laughing very hard.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where, I would have thought back in like June that by the time September hit, I would have been back in person. So it was what we just continue to keep saying, oh, next month. But in the meantime, you know, we figured out how to roll with it. So I did a mythology class in June. It was popular enough that I did it again in July. And then we tested everything out as far as having an outside person do it. So Elmer Gueri, who was supposed to teach a class in April before everything got shut down, did his big night class in August. So we could figure out how can we bring people in physically and do Zoom, you know, and set up and all of that. So we were really cautious in going into the fall. I was leery. I was terrified that I would have too many people sign up. We've not had that problem. And now that we've kind of gotten a little bit more used to it, basically starting in December, you're going to see a lot more marketing come out. So we're going to start doing TV commercials. I've already started a couple of Facebook ads and those kinds of things. So we're going to start kind of recruiting and marketing what we can do, because now I feel a little bit more confident about being able to handle an influx of people doing stuff. So,
well, that brings up the question: how's membership?
ooh, it's pretty small. Right now, official membership is probably about 250. Yeah. Normally we would be closer to 4. So, I mean, we're low, way low, but we're in par with everyone else. We were supposed to have the Osher National Conference this spring, which of course didn't happen. So they moved it virtual and just did it a couple of weeks ago. And a couple of the sessions that I attended with some other institutes, you know, like Michigan and those places, in all honesty, our membership isn't as bad as some. So we're kind of like, what, 60% of our membership, 50 to 60% of our membership for, you know, the time frame that we're in right now. Some of them are only like at 10%. They've lost 90% of their membership. And the big reason is people want to socialize. I mean, it's the interaction that they really want. They want the learning opportunity, but they also want that. And a lot of people just don't want to mess with the technology. They just don't think that they're going to get what they want from it, which has been probably the biggest struggle that we've seen from people not renewing their membership.
Okay.
Are there different levels of membership, Michelle?
Yeah, you can be an annual member. Basically, you can, you know, join for the entire year, which would be fall, winter, and summer. Or you can just join for the semester. So we pretty much are getting ready to end the fall semester, which is only $20. The annual membership is $40, but you can join just for the semester for $20. We've got it set up now so that if you join for winter, since fall's just about done, then you can finish doing any of the programming that we're doing for fall. So if you joined for winter, then if you wanted to do, you know, the symphony tour in December, you can go ahead and register for that. And then everything that we're doing for winter, you're going to be, you know, able to do as well. And we've got January is almost completely, well, January is completely planned out. And so I'm waiting to kind of get some descriptions. And then February is pretty close to being planned out. I've got probably about half of March and half of April already set. So we're basically going to work the same system that we did this fall. There's not going to be one big program guide that goes out because we just I can't predict what the heck's going to happen in April right now. So we're still kind of doing it on a month by month basis, but I'm planning much farther out than what I was for the fall. In the fall, I was just like, okay, September, make it through September, and then I'm going to think about the next month. So we're planning a lot farther out. And actually, I think January is probably going to be one of the really, it's got some amazing programming in it that I think is just going to, once I get it ready and get ready to send out, I can give you some highlights if you want some highlights of what we're going to do. But I'm pretty excited about January.
good.
So really, I mean, with so many things that you're offering virtual now, I mean, your membership radius could expand, like you would think, so helping to balance out the loss of those people who really want to do in person. Like I'm sitting here thinking about my mother in particular, I'm like, well, I could get her to sign up for it. She lives a couple of hours north of here, but.
Oh yeah. And that was something that we talked about going into fall. And that's kind of how we're changing our thought process going into winter, is that we're going to expand that radius out. So like when we're doing targeted Facebook ads, it's going to go to a bigger radius than what we've ever, done. The TV commercials are still probably going to be pretty local, but, in all honesty, Channel 2 and Channel 10 are seen, for a fairly good distance. But yeah, anybody who lives here in town but has family somewhere else. Actually, my snowbirds, they've said, oh, this will work out even better for us this year than it ever has, because we can still go to Florida and then my wife can still sign up for classes. So they're pretty happy about it. But yeah, anybody from a distance can necessarily do as much as if you're right here in town. And it's worked out really well as far as that goes. We haven't had very many people take advantage of that. I've had a few. I had one lady who had to go to Florida, and she actually, while she was in Florida, she just, used her laptop and signed in and attended class. So it makes it a lot more flexible.
It's also interesting to think about people who were very active members who moved away. I'm thinking of, I believe his name was Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to contact Mike and say, Mike, come on, join us virtually here.
Mike a couple of emails, but I haven't heard back from him. So I know that he's actually, because they did move to Florida, he's been pretty active in a lifelong learning program down there. So, I don't know if that might be part of it. I might send him a very specific email before too long, but yeah, it would be really neat to see him online. I would love to do that.
I was also thinking the fact that our OLLI does not have an age limitation might be interesting to people. Well, first of all, I think that tends not to be either known or appreciated. Most people feel like you have to be over 50 to be a member. But since so many people are now working from home, stuck at home, who are younger, they might be interested in lifelong learning as well.
Yeah.
Especially because of the variety of the programs. We've said that the programs are geared toward people over 50. I've never been able to figure out what that means, because I've never been able to figure out because I'm over 50, goodness knows, I'm not interested in whatever. And I think that that's true of most of us who are interested in lifelong learning. There might be something, maybe if you're younger, you're not interested in the Alzheimer's series, but on the other hand, you might very well be, because you're dealing with, well, not only the potential of that, but perhaps also with family members, friends, and so forth who have Alzheimer's. So I just think expanding, as Kate just mentioned, radiating out in a number of directions. Can we advertise that lifelong learning is for everyone without getting in trouble with Osher?
I think if we literally use those words, lifelong learning is for everyone, and we don't put an age to it. The thing for the Osher Foundation is, officially, we are not allowed to count members under a certain age.
Is that right? Oh my. Oh.
Now, as far as we're kind of geared towards 50 and older, it has a lot more to do with when everything was in person. So much of our programming during the day, when most people under 50 would be at work. I mean, in all honesty, most people are working until their 60s, into their 60s. So that 50 was kind of more along the lines an Osher number than it was anything. But yeah, it is before. Now we're still doing programming during the day, just like we always have. But now the fact that those things are recorded, makes it so that, you know, even if you can't attend it at the exact time. Actually, I have several people that are staff members here at Indiana State University, and they take their lunch around the virtual symphony tours.
Oh, very nice.
Join just to be able to take advantage of the symphony tours. They're not over 50. And that's how they're doing it, so that they can participate live, is that they're, you know, they just do their lunch hour from 1 to 2 during that virtual symphony. And
yeah, we've had people say to us, I wish I could join, but I'm not old enough. And I think it's frustrating that that's the word on the land. For one thing, I feel like joining OLLI should almost be a obligation of being a member of our Terre Haute community, you know, kind of like joining, oh, I don't know, the Swope Art Museum, or, you know, name something that's contributing to the United Way or CODA or whatever, that we're such a vital and important part of the community that it should just be automatic that we join, that we renew. For one thing, we tend to lose a lot of members, don't we?
we do. Well, we have a turnover in membership every year. So, I mean, that's not anything new. It's just this year is bigger than it normally is. And like I said, it seems to be in part, we have people that, and because the steering committee actually did phone calls to probably about 90% of the non-renewal. And then we've sent them, you know, letters and those kinds of things as well. And that's the big thing, is that they just don't want to do it online. I mean, that's been the biggest, so that once we go back to in person, they're like, oh, I'm happy to join. Now, I will say that if you put the right carrot in front of them, they're willing to budge. Because I had a gentleman that was adamant. He hates technology. I mean, hates technology. Not Don Layton.
So you have two.
But he hates technology. But he had he renewed his membership, but he says, I'm not doing any programming. I don't want to do anything online. Well, then I did the virtual cooking class with Chris. That's one of our things that's gonna happen in December, is we're doing virtual cooking. And donated, and on his donation thank you card, I specifically wrote, hey, you know, I know that you don't want to do this. I just want to make sure you're aware that we're doing it. And then he calls me up very angrily and says, because you're doing this virtual cooking, you know, I can't say no. I have to now know how to do Zoom. So if you do something that they just absolutely have to do, yeah, they have a tendency to bend a little bit. But, you know, trying to figure out what everyone has to attend is a little bit more difficult.
It's almost like I think that maybe those people too who are resistant to the tech and trying it and getting on board, you know, it's like they didn't expect this to last this long either, right? And so we almost need to create like a little safe space for them. Like, it's okay. We know you were so adamant before. It's okay to go back on that, and I'll teach you how to use it now. We forgive you for your resistance.
Yeah. My December might actually be a lot of that, because I have, like I said, so many programs in January that I think are fantastic, that, you know, I have a feeling that some of my very resistant people are going to cave, and then they're going to be like, well, I want to do this, but I don't know how. And, you know, there's workarounds behind almost everything. I think that's probably been also another big misconception, is I have a lot of people that say, well, I only have a smartphone. I don't have a computer. I don't have a laptop. I only have a smartphone. You can still do class. Granted, what you see is a lot smaller, but you can still see everything that everyone else is. You can talk and communicate. Actually, it works really well. So I have some people that don't realize that the technology that they already have actually can get them what they want. I have several that have tower computers, and they kept saying, well, I don't have a microphone and I don't have a camera. I said, do you want to talk during class? No. I said, do you really want people to see you online? No. I said, you don't need anything else. You know, if all you want to do is kind of hang out there in the background and sit in the back of class, which is what they normally do, you just click on the link, you can hear everything because you've got speakers with your old tower computer and you can see everything that everyone else is. You're just not asking questions, and you're just not showing me your face, which is fine. So I think that's probably a big misconception. So again, it's just kind of a learning curve.
Wow, I can't believe it. It's like how much time has passed, and but also like good for everybody, you know, in thinking outside the box, and you know, like just because like you said, the symphony tours, you know, that never would have happened without us being kind of this forced ingenuity, and so it's awesome.
Yeah. And like I said, you know, I've had so many people who've been diligently against, and Sherry was one of them that I tried to bribe into trying to help me figure out how I can do distance learning. I was trying to do distance learning, but 2 or 3 years ago, Sherry. But we were trying to still do it as a group and not individually. So we did an in-person class on campus, and then we did a class at Westminster that was running all at the same time, so that, you know, they were basically kind of Zooming, but we weren't using Zoom then to do class. Didn't work out super well, but, you know, kind of do that. I think, you know, now, and we've been doing some distance stuff with the Smithsonian Institute, the American Art Institute in Washington, D.C., where they're broadcasting to us live, but I have everybody grouped together. So, I mean, we've been building on that technology.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that we've been able to do is we did a kind of like the beginning of the Christian church, architecture wise. And we did that class with someone who was in Indianapolis. He wouldn't, you know, he probably wouldn't have said yes if he had to drive to Terre Haute a couple of times in order to teach it. But because we did it online, we were able to have that class. I have a lady that has written a book about all of the knots. Okay, Sherry, so this is something I'm seriously looking forward to. This lady has written a book about all of the knots that are in Leonardo da Vinci's paintings and kind of like sketches for all of the stuff that he's done. Go back and look. Just Google Leonardo da Vinci, because this has now been my new favorite thing to do. And look at everything that he's ever done and try and find these little intricate knots. I mean, like somebody has knotted something up. And you see that in all of this artwork that you never noticed before. So I have a lady who's from, I think, North Carolina, from another OLLI, who's going to do a Wednesday presentation on this for us.
Great.
But we would never have been able to do this if it wasn't for, you know, the pandemic, because, you know, I can't afford to fly her here to do a Wednesday presentation, but she can do it on Zoom and it's just as easy. So those things make this work. And special speakers. One of the things that I'm super looking forward to in January is we have a class that's basically going to be all about the code talkers from World War II. We have a gentleman that actually works with the Smithsonian Institute, and he's written multiple books about the different Indian nations that were code talkers. I always thought it was
yeah.
You have multiple different Indian nations that were code talkers. He's written all kinds of books. He actually has a new book getting ready to come out, but he's going to teach one of those sessions of that class online. So we would never have been able to pull that kind of stuff off, you know, in person. So the online is actually kind of helping with some of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, you've given us a little sneak peek of some of those fun January things.
The code talker is probably the one that I am looking the most forward to. Yeah. The G-Knot thing, that's going to be in February. We also have another expert, and he has written a fairly recent book about, okay, the theory is how much did humans play a role in the extinction of mammoths, big, the last big animals on the planet. So was it more environmental, or did humans have any kind of an impact? Okay. So he's just finished, I think, writing his book. He's one of our people who are doing a Wednesday presentation for us as well. So, that is a big subject that I think a lot of people are going to have an interest in. And then, of course, we're continuing with our virtual tours. We're adding in the virtual cooking, so that's going to be part of our new rotation. So pretty much every month, there's right now going to be 4 virtual tours a month. A continuation of all of our Wednesday presentations. We're looking at 2, if not more, classes a month. So we're almost back up to where we were, for the most part, number of program wise before the pandemic. So it's making my schedule become a little bit more hectic, but yeah, it's nice to be able to do that. And I have solemnly sworn to some of my people that even if they shut the university down, that if I have to sit in my car in some very, good internet spot here, I will continue to offer programming this time around. There won't be a shutdown.
Yeah.
Well, as you've heard, Michelle really has been doing a fantastic job in spite of all of the obstacles in her way. I must thank her.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And wait, oh dear, where'd it go?
We do. I think so many people appreciate it, Michelle. I hope that you do get lots of thank yous and feedback and, and kind emails, because what you're doing for everybody who's stuck at home is huge. And thanks for staying, having the big ideas and, willing to take it on. And, it helped a lot of people, I know.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the thing that has helped the most is I had people emailing me in probably April saying, when are we going to start back up again? When are we going to start back up again? Because they were desperate. They were desperate for any kind of communication. They were desperate to see people, to communicate, to do anything. And that really pushed me to say, okay, we've got to come up with something. We just can't throw our hands up and walk away. And now I have so many people say, because I know that this program is coming up, it's the sole reason that I have this morning to get up, because I know I have to be online for whatever program is this afternoon. So, it's their, kind of, Sherry kind of, expressed this the other day about exercise. How do you get motivated? You need to have something to look forward to. And that's kind of how I see OLLI right now is, everybody has a lot that they're bored with or that they can't see. And they think about all the things that they can't do. I think of OLLI as kind of that, that carrot of, hey, get up, get motivated, let's move, let's get registered for stuff. It's not perfect, but it gives everybody something to look forward to. And if nothing else, I want someone to at least, see another face that day, other than, maybe the people they live with. I know that my biggest problem during the shutdown is I did not want to see the people in my house anymore. I needed to see someone else. So
I would like to tack on to what Kurt said with regard to thanking Michelle. And one of the many things that Michelle has done so well is she's done this ever since she became our program administrator. She treats every member of OLLI as if that member were the only member of OLLI. And so I'm about to say something which I am almost certain is true. If we know someone who says, I can't do Zoom, I don't know how to do Zoom, I don't want to even try, Michelle, you'll help them, right? As an individual. I'm thinking specifically of the woman I love so much, Dorothy Jers, and I can't get her to try Zoom. Can't you do it, Michelle? Can't you? I call all 300 members and say, here, let me help you get on Zoom. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be silly, but I mean it on some level.
I honestly think that our Dorothy, and I have
Yes.
to ask someone at Westminster, but I think Dorothy, and I don't know this for sure, but I keep seeing a Westminster iPad.
Oh,
Wow. So somebody is, and that's not the group that was meeting in the community room. Somebody is using the Westminster iPad, I'm gonna say in their own room. I just don't know who it is because they don't have the video on, and I've never had the person talk to me, but I keep thinking that's Dorothy.
oh, I wish you were right, but I'm afraid you're not. Dorothy and I got
Do that.
together in the interim when we could get together. We would get together outside in the gazebo, and if that's Dorothy, she didn't want me to know because I keep trying to say to her, it's really easy.
Yeah.
First of all, to hook up to Zoom was easy. I didn't believe it when I was told that, because whenever somebody tells me something's easy, I know I'm a disaster. I always love it when people give you directions and say you can't miss it, because you know you're going to. And it was the same way with Zoom, but surprise, it really was so easy.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do anything. Oh, it's really tough. But the answer is yes, right? You can help people get on as individuals. And if not, you can tell them, we've got Sarah and we've got Kate and we've got Rachel all right there at Westminster. They all know how to Zoom. They'll all help you if Michelle gets too busy. See how I volunteered everybody?
That's part is that, like I said, I don't know who it is and how they're getting this Westminster iPad. But even if you don't have the technology in your own room, I think if you want to figure out how to do this, if you have that motivation to do it, if that's the actual key behind it, we can find you a way. The gentleman that I said that's just absolutely determined he has to do the virtual cooking, I said, okay, what kind of technology are we working with? And he told me he had an iPhone. And I said, okay. I said, the first thing we have to do is get the app on. He goes, I have apps. Trust me when I'm telling you, you are not the worst computer person I have ever come across. I have now people, yes. And then it's always a big joke as to, I'm like, yes, you have apps on your phone. You need to go into the, iStore to get the new app. There's an app store. Have a password. I have no idea who created your password. So longer than others, but Bruce has been fantastic about the Apple stuff, because you'd be amazed how many people come to any kind of Apple class and have no idea that they actually need to sign into anything, iTunes, the App Store, any of that. They didn't know they even had a password, let alone that existed. So
yeah, and Bruce is a whole lot like Michelle in that he's very willing to help you as an individual with whatever what you feel is stupid question that you have. And the beauty of the recordings, when I did the recent technology thing with Bruce, technology thing being a technical term, with Bruce, and I went back, because all you have to do is miss one button and suddenly 5 minutes have passed and so forth. So I went back and listened to all 2 hours of the first session, and went through again. And now I'll do the same thing with the second session, because if I miss a button, I can just pause. Whereas, you can't do that. So it's intriguing to me. And I'm the one who talked about Zoom brain, that we are finding advantages to what we're going through right now. I'm still in my pajamas.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's probably, like I said, that the recordings are probably my favorite thing that we've been able to do because of what's happened. You know, the exercise programs, you know, you took the class, but it's like the class doesn't end because you can always go back and watch what they just taught you. And my favorite thing, it's kind of like my DVR, is I don't have to watch commercials. So whatever part of class I don't want to listen to, I say that I really enjoy the fact that I have complete control when it comes to watching the videos, because I can fast forward through parts I don't want.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Including the people who talk too much.
So, Michelle,
Hello.
if somebody wanted to join a membership, how would they go about it?
Actually, all you need to do is just get a hold of our office. You can send me an email, and I can, you know, give you a call back. You can just call the office. Just like what we talked about at the very beginning of our talk today, the university's kind of started to shrink things down. So Melissa's only working kind of like every other day right now, but I am in the office every day. I am probably the weirdest person on the entire campus, because when they start talking about shutdowns, I instantly raise my hand and say, can't I come to work? So Nancy has already given me permission to come to work every day. I have to do what everyone else does. Just call, comes to me no matter what. It's 812-237-9040, or my direct line is 812-237-2336. And I can do the membership over the phone. If you wanted to do it as a gift, I've had people do that several times. They've done it as a gift because it's like, what, I have no idea what to buy my parents anymore for Christmas, right? So if you think it's something that they would enjoy, you can do OLLI as a gift, and I actually create holiday gift cards, and I personalize them, saying, you know, here, Kate has gifted you the membership of OLLI, you know, and then in everything, then you'll get, you know, whatever programming stuff that I've already got. So you can do that as well. So I mean, there's multiple ways you can do it. Like I said, you can do the annual membership. You can just do the semester membership. So it's a great way to introduce it to somebody if you're not sure if they're going to like it or not. But all you need to do is just call. I can walk you through everything, but take care of the membership, register for whatever it is that you want. Most of the time I have a lot of people like Sherry who sends me an email of something that she wants to be in. And because I check email constantly, I can get you fixed pretty quick.
Yeah. I'm glad. Thank you for asking that question, Sarah. That's terrific. And now I have a birthday present for my mom. Done. Check. Right.
Yeah.
We recorded the session today, Michelle and everyone. So we're going to push it out there if it's okay with everybody, and just help you grow that membership and help people that kind of remain connected, because as we've learned now, this isn't going away anytime soon. So let's all stay, you know, continue to live or learn lifelong and sign up for OLLI. And thank you again very, very much.
No, thank you for asking me back, and thanks everybody for coming out and listening to me today. I know that it's been difficult for a lot of people to stay connected. So, you know, OLLI is a great way to do that. Even if you're not going to do anything through OLLI, the worst thing in the whole wide world you can do going into the winter, trust me, is stay isolated, stay inside, and stop moving. I have seen entirely too many of my very favorite people in the whole wide world just really decline super, super fast because they just kind of shut down. So just keep moving, read. I don't care what you do, but make phone calls, write letters, whatever, but stay connected and stay moving. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.